She grew up in the most famous family on earth. Then she walked away. Now, Latoya Jackson breaks her silence. What really happened behind the Havenhurst gates? Latoya Jackson was always the one watching from the doorway. While Michael moonwalked across stadiums and sold out arenas, she sat in the family kitchen in Encino, listening to the conversations that never made it to MTV. She was the older sister, the one who remembered Havenhurst before the security gates, before the press lines, before the world decided Michael belonged to them. And in 1991, that door blew open. Her memoir, Latoya, growing up in the Jackson family, dropped at a time when Michael was deep into the dangerous era. The cover was simple. The contents were not. She wrote about a childhood that looked like Motown posters on the outside and something much heavier behind closed doors. Strict schedules, physical discipline from their father Joe, and the pressure of being the Jacksons 24 hours a day. She described a household where success was expected and mistakes were not forgiven easily. She also wrote about her brother's transformation, his relationships with family and women, and how fame had changed him. She called him her closest friend and confidant and said she was giving a Michael few have ever seen before. Book shot up the charts. Publishers Weekly had it on the bestseller list for 7 weeks. Talk shows booked her back-to-back. Tabloids ran the excerpts in bold type. Violence, drug abuse, exploitation, and infidelity was the language one synopsis used. The Jackson name sold papers, and Latoya was suddenly on every front page. Michael didn't do a press conference. He didn't write a clapback song. People close to him at the time said he was hurt. This was his older sister, the one who used to braid Janet's hair, who remembered the same Apollo Theater auditions he did. To have that story sold in paperback felt personal. Fans split instantly. Some said, "She's telling the truth, families hide." Others said, "You don't air family laundry for a check." The comments in magazines, on call-in radio, and later on early internet forums were a war zone. But the story behind the story was what kept people talking for the next 20 years. Latoya was married at the time to Jack Gordon. He was her manager. He was also, she would later say, controlling. In interviews after their divorce, she described a marriage that was more business arrangement than partnership. He moved her out of the family orbit, made decisions about her career, and according to her, cut off communication with her siblings. She posed for Playboy in 1989. She did the book tour in 1991. She later said those choices weren't entirely hers. "I was trapped," she told outlets after she left him. "I didn't know how to get out." That detail changed how people read the 1991 book. Was this Latoya's voice? Or was this a woman being steered by a man who wanted access to the Jackson brand? Fans started rereading passages looking for clues. Did the tone shift in chapters where Gordon was quoted? Why were some details so specific and others vague? Message boards in the early 2000s still debated it. One post from 2003 read, "I don't think Latoya hated Michael. I think she was isolated and used." Another replied, "Then why sign your name to it?" Michael and Latoya didn't speak much during those years. Family birthdays, holidays, album release parties, her seat was empty. Katherine Jackson, their mother, was caught in the middle. She stayed close to Michael but also said publicly that she loved Latoya. That tension played out in real time on shows like The Oprah Winfrey Show and Larry King Live, where hosts asked Latoya, "Do you regret it?" And she gave careful answers about surviving and learning. Then came June 25, 2009. Michael died. The world stopped. Havenhurst became a memorial. Fans camped outside, and Latoya showed up. She was at the family home, at the memorial, and in interviews where she cried on camera. The woman who had been framed as the estranged sister was now the one holding her mother's hand on television. She told reporters, "He was my brother. He was my friend. He was the closest person to me." In 2012, she released Starting Over, co-written with Jeffrey Phillips. The title said it all. This wasn't a rebuttal. It was a recalibration. She wrote about growing up with Michael, about the two of them sneaking into the recording studio late at night, about him teaching her the shoulder shimmy in the living room when no one was watching. She described intimate moments that never made it into interviews. She also wrote about what she believed were disturbing behind-the-scenes dealings in the months before his death and how those things made her fear for him. The book became a New York Times bestseller too. This time the tone landed differently. She wasn't exposing. She was remembering. She wrote, Michael's tortured soul and his tragic destruction, but also his laughter, his generosity, the way he'd call her just to play her a new melody over the phone. She said they had reconciled before he died, that he'd told her he loved her, that she'd told him the same. The internet did what it always does. It picked sides again. Comment sections under YouTube clips of her 2012 interviews filled up fast. Team 2012 posted, "You can tell that's real grief. You can't fake that." Team 1991 posted, "Too little too late. The book is still out there." A third group, the biggest one, just asked questions. If Jack Gordon controlled her, why didn't she speak up sooner? Did Michael know how bad it was for her? What did he say when they finally talked again? Latoya didn't disappear after that. She did reality TV, Celebrity Apprentice, The Masked Singer. She spoke at fan events. She defended Michael's legacy when new documentaries or court cases came up. In 2019, she told a podcast, "People think I turned on him. I never did. I was turned away from him and then I fought my way back." That line is why the story still gets shares, because it's not just about two celebrities. It's about family, control, money, fame, and how hard it is to get back to people once the world gets between you. Think about it. Michael grew up with a camera in his face from age 5. Latoya grew up with the same father, the same house, but without the same global spotlight. She watched her little brother become the king of pop while she tried to build a solo career in his shadow. That alone creates friction. Add a controlling manager husband, add a 1990s media machine that rewarded confessions, add a family that communicates through lawyers and publicists sometimes, and you have a perfect storm. Fans still clip the moments. There's the 1993 footage of Michael watching Latoya perform at the World Music Awards. He's in the audience, clapping. There's the 2010 memorial rehearsal footage where Latoya is backstage, quiet. There's the 2012 Entertainment Tonight interview where she breaks down talking about his last phone call to her. And every time one of those clips resurfaces on TikTok or Instagram Reels, the comments explode. "I didn't know they were close. She did him dirty in '91. No, she was a victim too. Families are messy. Michael deserved better. Latoya deserves peace." That's the engine. People don't just want facts, they want to argue about motive. Was it survival? Was it betrayal? Was it love? Was it all three? Latoya herself has said she doesn't expect everyone to forgive her. In Starting Over she wrote, "I can't change what was printed, but I can tell you who Michael was to me." She spent the last decade doing exactly that, showing up at Neverland memorials, posting childhood photos on her birthday, and reminding people that before the gloves and the fedora, he was her brother who stole her fries at dinner. So here we are. 2 books, 1 family, and a debate that won't die because it hits something universal. Who gets to tell your story? What happens when you're spoken for by someone else? Can you repair a relationship after the world watches it break? If you've got an opinion, drop it. Were you team 1991 when the first book came out? Or did Starting Over change your mind? Do you think Michael and Latoya would be close today if he were still here? And what do you think really went down in that Encino kitchen that never made the chapters? Follow for part 2.